button has been pressed. After 8 long years, we finally have news. We finally have something new. Marvel just shook up the entire fighting game community by showing us their newest project, Marvel Tōkon. It's a tag fighter set to release in 2026, and this game is so vastly different from the previous Marvel projects that we've seen, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, 3, and Infinite, to the point where I don't even want to say this is a sequel to that series anymore. I think this is something brand new. I think this game is closer to DBFZ 2 than it is going to be for MVCI 2 or Marvel vs. Capcom 4. We are going to get into all of that. They showed a lot, they changed a lot, and there was so much to talk about, so let's dive into it. So the biggest elephant in the room is that there are no Capcom characters this time around. So this came as a surprise to basically everyone, considering the series has always been Marvel vs. Capcom, but this time it's just Marvel. We don't have any official news as to why it's only Marvel this time around, but I'd imagine to some people, this is good news. As for the characters, we have seen Captain America, Iron Man, Storm, Ghost Rider, Dr.Doom, Spider-Man, and the 2 newest additions to Marvel Fighters, I'm pretty sure, we're gonna call it that, is Miss Marvel and Star-Lord. And this game looks amazing, and they all look amazing. It's really bright, really colorful, and generally fits the superhero fighter genre. And this makes sense considering this game is actually being developed by ArcSys. We'll go over what that means for the game in a little bit, but what I really wanted to talk about is how different the game actually is compared to Marvel's previous projects. Even though they've only showed 8 characters, I have a pretty good feeling the roster is going to be huge because this game is going to be a 4v4 fighter instead of 3v3. I'm pretty sure this is the first time this has ever been done, and I think it's a bit ambitious, but I'm curious to see how much the limits of the tag fighter genre can be pushed. So I'm pretty excited for it. So outside of the game being a 4v4 fighter, they showed us some interesting mechanics, some new, some old, and some ambitious ones. So the first one I want to talk about is Active Switch, which is basically the ability to switch to and pilot your assist character after being called on screen. This mechanic has been kind of showing its face a lot more recently in games like 2XKO, Hunter x Hunter and Impact, and it looks like ArcSys this time around wanted it for the Marvel franchise, so we have it in Marvel. MVCI enjoyers, rejoice. The next mechanic that I wanted to talk about is crossover, which what looks like to me is just going to be the game's guard cancel, but it's the ability to summon your assists from block to relieve pressure, as you can see in this clip. And the biggest thing that stands out to me about this mechanic is the fact that you can switch to your assist after performing it, and you can still do something with your point character, then switch to your assist. Very similar to 2XKO, kind of how they are using their defensive options in that game to be very team assist oriented, which I do like for a versus game. The next mechanic that I wanted to talk about, and it's probably the biggest, most controversial mechanic, is the fact that the game looks to have wall break and stage transitions. And for those who don't know what it is, it's basically the ability to do a certain move, and if you have your opponent cornered, they'll bust through the wall, showing an entire cinematic about them transitioning through the stage. They'll go off buildings, they'll interact with the map, and then you go to a different map. And this is so controversial because this, to my knowledge, has never been done for a tag fighter. This is typically usually in 1v1 games like Injustice, like Guilty Gear Strive. And it's pretty ambitious, just like I said about the 4v4, to have it in a versus game, but I am really curious to see how they implement this, because personally, I actually really like stage transitions, at least the way they look. I think it's such a sick concept to hit your opponent through the stage and they interact with the background and you go to a whole different new stage. As for how it is going to play out in practice, we're just gonna have to see. But I, for one, am super excited to see how ArcSys really pushes the boundaries of tag fighters, because this could be a breath of fresh air. The last mechanic that I wanted to talk about that was shown, what looks like to be a team combo mechanic. I'm not too sure what this will be called because I'm pretty sure it wasn't named, and it doesn't necessarily look like DHCs. It looks like a kind of like MK1 with its fatal blow. It looks like you will do a move and your entire team kind of jumps in to do a part of the combo and it ends. It looks like to be maybe some sort of super or just a separate mechanic entirely, but it was distinct enough to recognize that it is a unique mechanic, so I wanted to mention it. With basically every mechanic mentioned here being very team focused outside of the stage transition, plus the fact that the game is going to be 4v4, leads me to believe they want this game to be heavily team focused and team oriented, even for a versus game, which again is the direction that 2XKO was going, and generally the feedback from the community was very positive when it came to this decision. So I'm glad that ArcSys kind of recognized that and jumped on the train, and looks like they want to maybe push it even more for this game, which is going to be really exciting to see. I mentioned earlier that the game is being developed by ArcSys, and that means a few things are going to be different this time around. For those of you who don't know, ArcSys is a fighting game publisher most notoriously known for developing games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Strive, and BlazBlue Central Fiction, among other projects. And the one thing all these games share is that they look amazing. Like, ArcSys is notorious for having some of the best artwork in the fighting game genre, and this game is no different. Like I said, it's super colorful, it's really bright, it has that very sunshine, feel-good feeling that a superhero video game should feel like and look like, which I think is amazing. I said this earlier and I'm going to say it again. I don't think people should look at this game as Marvel versus Capcom 4. Capcom is not even a part of it. It's just Marvel, and it's a completely different developer making the game too. So I think that in and of itself is enough to kind of just say this is its own series. I think this is just them opening a new door to something brand new, 2026 release, kind of building on top of what Marvel vs. Capcom was before, but also probably building on top of what Dragon Ball FighterZ was and Guilty Gear Strive was. And it looks like they're trying to combine the good from all the franchises and also use the IP of Marvel to really just make something new, make something like big, which, as you can see with everyone being excited for the game, looks like it's working so far. It looks like it's working so far. So that's all I have to share with you guys for today. Let me know what y'all think. Are you against or opposed to the idea of only having Marvel characters instead of Marvel and Capcom characters? Do you feel like the game being 4v4 is too ambitious, or a potential step in the right direction for tag fighters? Like, there's so many new stuff to talk about in Theorycraft. More so than anything, I just can't wait to get my hands on the game. Probably the same is true for majority of other people. So let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Peace.